Dobry dzień, servus, and salve. Today we're going to talk about the one thing that anyone has been discussing over the past couple of days, and that is the recent election in the United States. And in true political science fashion, let's start off by looking at a bunch of numbers. The first statistic that I'd like to examine is that of voter participation. With few exceptions, these numbers are lower than those that we experienced in the election of 2020. Go ahead and pause the video and check these statistics for your state. Let's now examine those same statistics for previous elections. Although we would obviously prefer to have the source be the same, we simply were not able to do that in this case. Obviously, we would prefer to have all of our statistics coming from the same source. However, that was not the case. What we do notice, though, is that as the percentage of voter participation increases, the likelihood of a Democrat being elected president increases. The next statistic that I'd like to examine is the amount of fundraising done by both campaigns. From what we can see here, the Harris campaign both raised and spent significantly more than the Trump campaign did. This leads us to a couple of conclusions. First, either that the Trump campaign was a significantly better steward of the amount of funds allocated to it than the Harris campaign was, or that the Trump campaign obtained the benefit of funds that were not required to be reported to the Federal Election Commission. The next statistic that we're going to examine is the method by which people chose to vote in various elections, including the most recent one. Obviously, the numbers from the previous election in the year 2020 should be considered something of outliers, so we're going to discount those in our statistical analysis, preferring instead to rely only on the year 2016 and the year 2008. From this, what we can conclude is that there is no correlation between the method chosen to vote and the result of the election. Even relying on the previous statistics only, there are a couple of conclusions that we can draw. First of all, that the dollar amount raised and spent by a particular campaign is not a valid predictor of success in the election. Second, as voter participation increases, the probability of a Democrat being elected to federal office also increases. Third, the voting method chosen by a particular individual is no longer a valid predictor of voter choice. Finally, we can conclude logically that the Democratic Party base is insufficiently large to guarantee election success. And now I'm going to put aside all objectivity and ask the question that I'm sure many of you have been asking since the video started, and certainly a lot of commentators have been asking since Tuesday night: why did Kamala Harris lose the election? The reasons that Harris lost the election are many. Go ahead and pause the video if you'd like to look at the ones that I've enumerated above. But if you'd like to read a little bit more, go ahead and take a look at either Jordan Klepper Fingers the Polls from The Daily Show, or there's an excellent video from the Wall Street Journal opinion page just published a couple of days ago that outlines a couple of the reasons that people might vote for Donald Trump. Essentially, in general, though, the principles for the reasons that Harris lost are a failure to communicate with the other side, to break into their media silos, so to speak. If you do not tell your story on your own to your opponent's voters, your opponent will make up the story on their own, and the story that they tell might not necessarily be the one that you would like people to hear. As far as Trump voters were concerned, Kamala Harris was an individual who was running for president purely to destroy the United States from the inside out, had greenlit production of the television series She-Hulk and Star Wars Acolyte. She was also the puppet master behind a barely aware Joe Biden, and there was no one to counter this narrative. Before I end the video today, I would just like to add that I do not believe that we should look to exit polling as a valid indicator of voter choice, as exit polls are closed-ended questions and rely rather heavily on the analyst to interpret the meaning of words like economy and immigration to a wide range of different individuals. There is no place for liberal tears here, and you will find none. All I have interest in are subscribers and likes. So if you like this kind of analysis, go ahead and click the like button, click subscribe, and go out and have the day that you all deserve.